Speech off.
Okay. Hello, everybody. You know, this was supposed to be... okay, let me get out of the way of the thermostat because I realize now that it's blowing right into the microphone. So let me move over here to the table. And I'll explain where I am in just a moment. Here we are. So hopefully it'll be a little bit quieter over here. So, I intended for this to be a fun vlog, and I even said that on Monday that I was going to be a little bit more lighthearted. However, certain events have happened this week that have I really feel led to speak on a couple of things that have been on my mind. First of all, I'm going to get a little bit personal as I explain where I'm at and why I'm here. And this is going to go into a topic. This is going to go into a couple of different topics. Even though I live in Louisville, I am in an extended stay America hotel. I just arrived about, I'd say maybe 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago, and have checked in. I will be staying here until next Saturday. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, what's wrong with your apartment? There's nothing wrong with the apartment except for not in the physical sense. I hated to have to do this. I really did. But circumstances caused it. I have had an upstairs neighbor for a while who has been notorious for cranking up his very powerful stereo and shaking the entire building, but mostly my apartment because I live right below him. The floor, the walls, it's like everything is shaking. For a while, he was doing very good, and he wasn't turning it up. Last month, he started doing it again, and there was a day when I was recovering before I got my implant activated where I was having a horrible dizzy spell, which is common after implant surgery, is to have a couple of days where you're dizzy. And I almost fell when trying to cook food because the intense vibration in the floor and walls amplified the feeling that I already had that everything was spinning, and it was very disorienting. However, at that time, I couldn't pinpoint where the music was coming from, so I didn't say anything. Because the manager said, I can't do anything until I can figure out where it's coming from. And I was not mad about that. There was no reason to be mad because she had a point. Okay? This is not a criticism. Well, last Saturday, it got horribly out of hand. I had just bought a ton of groceries from 4 different stores: Kroger, Aldi, Sam's, and Costco. And I buy my coffee at Costco, just for those that are wondering. I have memberships to both Sam's and Costco. And I buy my coffee at Costco and fruit snacks at Costco. So I was putting them away when it happened, and I was eating Captain D's for a while. I was eating Captain D's when I felt the bass beat start up again. Thinking that my manager was not going to be around, I decided not to say anything. But I sent her a text message on Sunday morning and said, "I'm sorry to bother you, but this is what's going on." I walked out into the hallway and put my hands on the wall, and that led her to realize who was doing it. Well, come Monday, I had the post-op, as many of you know. Monday night was also pretty bad, and my bedroom was also shaking. When I was lying in bed, the vibrations were very, very intense, and it was very, very hard to get off to sleep. Tuesday was nice and quiet, and she had called, apparently she called him and she told him, because this has been causing me very high anxiety, because I go in, you know, I dreaded going home from work because I didn't, I never knew when the floor and walls were going to start rumbling, and it was scaring me. To the point where I was having a very, very hard time sleeping. The best night of sleep that I had this week was on Tuesday night when he didn't turn his stereo on. Well, Wednesday night, it became a huge problem, to the point where my hearing aid and implant were in the dehumidifier, which I have to do every night to help maintain them. And I didn't want to interrupt the cycle of the dehumidifier because it goes for 8 hours, and it's not a good idea to interrupt it in the middle. So the apartment manager called the police on my behalf. I asked her to call the police on my behalf, but it did not stop. As a result, Thursday was an absolutely horrible day as far as, thankfully, we didn't have anything to do at work. It was slow, and so I was able to get some sleep in the morning. However, on Wednesday night, I texted my younger sister, and I asked her if she could help me find another place to stay for anywhere from a week to a month. And she said she would help. The original plan was to get me into an Airbnb for a month, but then she decided, how about I put you in an extended stay hotel for a week, and then when you get to the end, you can decide what you want to do. And so she put me in this extended stay America location, which I'm at right now. And I will be here through October the 19th. I am liking this so far. It is very quiet, and the walls are nice and thick. They seem to be. And I'm in a little, probably, I guess, a corner room. I'm in one of the studio suites on the 3rd floor. I think the only major concern that I have is trying to find my way to and from my room during the next week. You know, Ubering and finding Ubers and stuff like that, because this hotel has external corridors, and I'm about as far away from the elevator as you can get. But my past experience has been that if you call the front desk, they will, at most hotels, they will send somebody up and help me watch for my Uber and stuff like that. So, you know, I personally don't think there's anything. I have 2 days until I have to worry about that. And by the way, during the day in the apartment, it was very quiet. It was very nice, and it was peaceful. He typically doesn't turn on his stereo until the evening, and on the weekends you never know when he's going to turn it on. Now, because of this, my manager did send him a lease violation letter yesterday, and it's his final warning. And if someone else, if this happens again, he will get an eviction notice. They were working on evicting him anyway, but this escalated the problem. This escalated what has already been a recurring issue. Because apparently there were some other things that were going on that I was not aware of, and what have you. So, why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you all this because I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, as somebody whose hearing loss resulted from listening to loud music. I used to lay down right next to speakers and listen to music when I was a little kid that could be pretty loud, and my parents always used to ground me, because I would always have the stuff up too loud. And as somebody who is now pretty much legally deaf, and by this time next year I'm going to have a second cochlear implant, I really want to emphasize that loudness is not always the answer. In fact, it never is the answer. Now, granted, it is okay to be a little loud, and if you're listening to metal or something like that and you want to turn it up a little bit loud, that's okay. But what I wish people would do is keep in mind that the more you do it, the more you're likely to damage your hearing, and that damage is irreversible. Hearing aids can only go so far. And if you continue to do it, you will be in the situation that I'm in right now. I don't wish getting a cochlear implant on anybody, because it's a completely new way of hearing. You don't know what you're hearing when you get the implant activated. And it takes time to relearn that stuff. And you lose out on a lot of the harmonics of music in your implanted ear. And what I really wish people would understand is that there are consequences for the actions that you take, sometimes life-altering. And the other thing about this is that your bass in your powerful stereo with your subwoofers and whatever, it could be scaring people. It could be triggering people, whatever. I was doing okay for a while as far as that went, but when I got the implant and became a lot more aware of how things were going, it started to scare me. Even with the implant and the hearing aid off, it was so loud that I could actually feel it. The walls in my apartment have no insulation. So everything was amplified very loudly. And it was I was starting to lose sleep over it. I was starting to get very anxious over it. And I know some people would say, well, what about anti-anxiety medications? I don't have a primary care doctor right now. I may work on getting a primary care doctor because of this incident. But I use Benadryl, and that's what I have taken for years, ever since I moved here, to help me sleep and whatever. And no, I don't take it every night, okay? I take it only a couple of nights a week. Like next week, it'll probably be Sunday and Wednesday, because I work on Fridays. I work next Friday, so it'll probably be on Sunday night and Wednesday night. I always take it on Sunday nights, but Wednesday will be the other night I take it. But I hated the fact that I had to do this, but it was beginning to terrify me in a very bad way, and I was starting to lose sleep over it, even with Benadryl. And I'm very fortunate that we have every other Friday off at my employer, so I didn't have to worry about this as much last night. I watched TV as a distraction, and that was great. Watched Buzzer, Match Game, and Supermarket Sweep, and Super Password, and To Tell the Truth. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it, but the rumbling was still there. Now, I told the manager about the fact that it was happening again, and I haven't heard from her today, but I know she's been busy, so I am not going to pester her. She's only in the office for the morning on Fridays, and I send her text messages. So that's what's been going on with me. And this leads me to something else. I don't understand. COVID brought out the absolute worst in people. It really did. And I don't care. This goes beyond politics. We're not talking politics. We're not going to talk politics on this channel. Unless we absolutely have to. Because this can be said about people on both sides of the aisle. And even to an extent, third party people. Do people not care anymore that others have feelings? And do people not understand that there are other people around who might not take too kindly to certain behaviors? Even when you try, and by the way, the reason that I haven't gone up and talked to this guy is because of how steep the stairs are in my apartment building. I'm not comfortable walking up and down them because they're very steep, and I have a genuine concern about falling, even with a cane. So it's not, but I'm going to tell you what I really think. I think that there are spiritual forces at work right now, and that we really are living in a time where it goes beyond just differences of opinion and disagreeing. What we're dealing with here are very powerful spiritual forces. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, we're in a spiritual battle. I really, prior to 2020, you could talk to somebody and have differences of opinion and be fine. But after COVID, people changed. People changed for the worse. It is, the support system that I had up here, the few friends I had up here, I lost after COVID. And it wasn't even because of my views. It was because people were so scared to be around each other that they forgot about the most vulnerable in most cases. Now, before I say anything more, I want to say that my opposition to mask wearing was more due to my hearing impairment than anything else. I understood why. I didn't like it, but I knew that it was necessary. But like when I was at work, they put me and the copy holder I had at the time in a place where we could take our masks off and whatever. I was allowed to keep it off, but it was a reasonable accommodation, so it wasn't breaking any rules. But I really feel that people have forgotten how to be kind to each other, even those that they disagree with. And people, narcissism is on the rise, I feel. And I'm not saying this stuff out of pity. I'm saying this because I think it needs to be said. Okay. But it's been hard ever since 2020. And I think that one of the big culminations of the past couple of years was what's going on now, where I'm having to be in an extended stay hotel for a week and a few hours just to have a quiet place to get some rest. So a couple of things that I want to say in closing. First and foremost is to be mindful of your hearing when you listen to things. Because trust me, hearing loss is not fun. It is not fun. As a musician and an organist, going with implants was one of the hardest decisions I had to make. You know, it really was, but it was necessary because I'm at the point where hearing aids no longer really work for me. My left one is working okay for me right now, but it won't be for too much longer. That's why we're planning to get my second implant in 2025. Because of how rapidly it's declining. Second, try to find it in your hearts to be considerate toward others. And try to see past the complaining and whatever, because you don't know what other people are going through, and you don't know what could be going on that could be causing people to act the way they do. I understand that people want their independence and they want to be in control, but the reality of it is that you're not always in control. And if you're going to live in an apartment complex, especially with in a building like mine, where we have a mix of people, we have people that work odd hours, and we have people that we have a couple of seniors, or I think we have one senior and several others that want quiet. And before this guy moved in, we could have put a patent out on the word quiet. The only sound that you really heard was people walking around in the upstairs apartments, and that's inevitable. There's nothing you can do about that. So, there's no complaining there. If you're going to live in an apartment building, then at least show a little respect to the people that you live with. Look, if you want to use your stereo, that's fine. I used to have two Sonos speakers, and I would sometimes play them. I would sometimes use them. But you're not the only one that is living in that building. If you really want to do that, then get your own house. You know, that's all I got to say. Then get your own house. If you're going to live in a building with other people, then start acting like a responsible adult and show some decency. And, you know, that's all anybody really wants. And, you know, like I said about COVID bringing out the worst in people, I really feel that people have gotten a lot less compassionate. They want to say my way is the only way, and they want to. And we're not talking about religion either, okay? When I talk about this, we're not talking about religion here. We're talking about common sense. And it's very hard, especially for vulnerable people. And, you know, it's, and by the way, for the record, I'm on a wait list for a privately owned apartment complex run by a Christian ministry. And I'm on the waiting list to get into that right now. The main people that stay there are seminary students at the Baptist seminary, but you know, anybody who wants to stay there can. But it's targeted toward seminary students because of the amenities and stuff like that. Like you get free Wi-Fi, you get free, and my sister knows the landlord, so you know they. But there's only 8 apartments in that building. But that's not the point. Now, you know, the guy will probably be evicted. There's no question that he will more than likely be kicked out in the next 2 or 3 in the next month. But what if you're gonna not answer people's calls, and you're not going to pay attention to what people are trying to tell you, then maybe you have no business living on your own. It's just plain and simple. And I'm not trying to bash, for anybody that is wondering. I'm not trying to bash. That's not what I'm after. But I'm just saying that, you know, that people need to remember that there are others around them and that the world does not revolve around them. That's all I'm saying. And just do the best that you can. Try to be kind to others, because what we tolerate, we encourage. And I think that, you know, I said I wasn't going to talk about politics, but I will a little bit. When I say that this is what I think. It doesn't matter who wins next month. We are so divided right now that a house divided against itself cannot stand. It's just plain and simple. And people are destroying themselves in a lot of ways. They're destroying themselves, and they're destroying others to make them feel good about themselves. Sorry. So, anyway, I know this was a heavy vlog today. I realize that. And I promise you that next Friday I will do a fun one. Okay, I will do a fun one unless something else comes up. But I really wanted to get a couple of things off my chest this week after the events of earlier in the week. And by the way, my apartment complex is a good one. Okay, it is a good one. I mean, I was perfectly happy there from, for a long time, from 2018 to, earlier this week. I mean, the reason that I'm trying to get into the other one is because of the rent increase that my complex did, where the one I'm trying to move into has cheaper rent. So, I'm on month-to-month leases right now because I'm on the waiting list, and they agreed to allow me to pay the long-term lease rate month to month instead of raising it, because they know that I'm trying to move out. So I appreciate a lot. They're good people. They are good people. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap this up here. There will be an implant update next week, as I told you. I have a follow-up appointment on Wednesday, so I'm going to do the implant update on Wednesday night to talk about what happened. And then on my last night in this hotel on the Friday, I will do I promise I'll give you something fun. So, it'll be hopefully a lot more lighthearted than this was. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here. And I want to also say that I didn't mean any of this as a complaint. So I hope that it does not come across as complaining about things and whatever. I was just trying to be honest with people. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Anyway, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. And by the way, I did go ahead and pay for the premium Wi-Fi here so that I could get faster speeds. I did go ahead and do that. My younger sister paid for the hotel. I think, yeah, I think she paid for the hotel, and which I'm very thankful for. But I did pay for faster Wi-Fi. So that I could listen to music and stuff and stream, and stuff like that. So I did get the faster package because it was only like $22 for 7 days, which is a good deal because like next Saturday morning, it's going to be more about just waking up and going back to my apartment. That's pretty much what it's going to be. Now, I mean, I could decide, toward the end of next week to stay here for another week. I don't know. It depends. I mean, if I do, I will pay to extend the reservation. But yeah, I'll take care of it. But I hope that I don't have to do that. Anyway, I will, if people really want to, I'll keep them updated on this whole situation. But the reason that I wanted to get that way is because I wanted to point out the two things that I wanted to talk about, which were hearing loss, which were hearing preservation, and being considerate of other people. So I'll wrap this up for now. I hope that all of you have a wonderful weekend. I will be back next week, next Wednesday, with an update on how I'm doing with the implant. And hopefully I'll have some news about that. But anyway, thank you for watching, and we will I will talk to all of you later.